Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hello and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. I'm your host, Craig Valine, and with me today is my expert panel of Dan Kennedy certified independent business advisors. As always, welcome, guys. Today's show will stem from questions sent in by members from the newsletter and through chapter meetings and things like that. And, they're pretty much questions that everybody has. So, let's get right to it. Mark, since you're new here in this episode, everybody's new here in this episode because this is a new episode. I'm willing to live with that mistake. Anyway, what is the significance of positioning in marketing, and how can a business position itself as an authority in its business? I think you're pretty darn good at this, and so why don't you start us off?
Well, thank you, Craig. Great to be here. So positioning is really everything because it really determines like how you are perceived. Like in a world of choices, you have to be positioned as the obvious choice. That's how you want to come, almost like pre-sold, if you will. So position is really everything because otherwise, how do people choose? And especially today, we live in the world of like really no attention span whatsoever, right? So people are looking for shortcuts to shorten that list of, who should I work with from this long giant list to just who are the most qualified, who's positioned, who can really help me and who is really right for me. So positioning is all about presenting yourself so that you are pre-sold, if you will, to tick as many boxes as you can to get on the real short list.
Yeah. So good answer. Chuck, what's your thought on positioning? How important is it, and how can people leverage it?
Well, just like Mark said, it's probably everything. I mean, for ourselves, we position ourselves by writing books. I know that everybody here has written books, but I'm thinking about a particular client. He's a luxury home remodeler. And you wouldn't think he was anything special, but he does a full color magazine of about 80 pages of just showcasing himself and some of his suppliers, which of course we leverage by asking them for money to print the magazine. And he's on been doing it for 8 years, and he's on his fifth iteration of it. And it's fantastic. No one goes into a presentation selling a home remodel and hands a book that's a coffee table quality book. And then the next thing we've done, and it's about to be published, his slogan is "Cut Your Contractor for Life." So he's got the cover's done, he's got his picture on the cover and the title of the book and all of that, but he's actually writing a book with content about that. So again, when he goes into a home, he's got more tools than anybody has. And of course, the salespeople carry those tools to the home, and the clients walk around with the magazine in their hands. And so he is a dominant authority in our area. So that's an example.
Excellent. Steve, I notice on your where your name is, it says Steve Sipress, the WOW strategy. How important is having your own method or way or unique style important to setting yourself apart in positioning?
Well, that's one of the factors that goes into positioning. In anticipation of you asking this question, I happen to go to my bookshelf. As Mark said, we all want shortcuts. Well, I got the shortcut. I got the book right here by Al Reese and Jack Trout, Positioning. So I figured if we want to know what positioning is, and I got this thing highlighted, underlined over and over in different colors. I mean, how many times I've gone through this? Positioning defined. Positioning is what you do to the mind of the prospect, and it influences everything else. So it's not what you do to your product or service, it's what you do to the mind of the prospect. Like Mark and Chuck just said, you position yourself that you're the one, you're the obvious choice. And as Reese and Trout point out in here in this book, it goes back, 30, 40 years, that you don't even have to be the best. You don't have to be number one. You can be number two. Look at Avis, famous rent-a-car. We're number two. We try hard. So they put forth that, we innovate this and we do that, and we do this. So you can position yourself as we're not the biggest or we're not the best. That's what the ma and pa stores, a lot of our clients, maybe a lot of our viewers and listeners is how do you compete with big box stores? I'm not the biggest. I'm not Home Depot. I'm a little ma and pa hardware store. Okay, well, you give the personal contact. You know the people when they walk in the store. You ask them about what they bought 2 months ago. Hey, how's that thing working out? Hey, I know you like the color blue goes with your backyard. So you position yourself as the friendly neighborhood I know you person. So it's what you do in the prospect's mind that positions you as someone they're going to think about when a need comes up instead of all the other options.
Yeah. What are some ways? And again, if I ask the question, it seems like we've already answered it. It's specifically so that they hear this particular question. But Mark, what are some of the ways people can establish a position in the marketplace, whether they're local, national, or international?
Well, hey, go back to Steve's example. Look at Steve's screen. It says there the wow strategy, right?
Yeah.
So everywhere he goes,
Wow.
Think about this for a minute. That's telegraphing. And at the end of the day, this is one of the things I ask my clients. The first thing I ask them is like, what do you want to be known for? See? Right. And Steve's known for he's the creator of the wow strategy. So he's got a methodology. I have a client here, Jane McQuillan in Wisconsin. She's a CPA. She also runs an exit planning firm. And I said, hey, what's the process that you use with your clients? And she said, we just do the exit planning process. She was certified by EPI. So she's a CIPA. And I said, well, you do it differently because you're a CPA. So why don't you create your own way of doing it? So what's it going to be? We went through an exercise determining what is it that she works her clients through. And it was all about value, value, value. So her company was called Journey Consulting. So I gave her the brand, The Value Journey. So now Jane McQuillan is known as the creator of the value journey. So anytime anybody looks her up, refers her out, people are going to Google value journey or Jane McQuillan, and everything's going to show up on the front page of Google, her Amazon author page, value journey, the creator of the value journey. So that is like branding. And that's her shortcut. She becomes known as the creator of the value journey, as Steve is known as the creator of the wow strategy. So what do you want to be known for? That's how I start.
Wow.
There's a concept we've heard in Dan Kennedy style marketing and it's big out there. It's called category of one. Chuck, can you speak to that? What that concept means and how to use it?
Sure. I mean, you want the prospective client to think that only you and nobody else in the market can bring him what he's looking for. And Dan was big on creating a category one and doing it by not letting anybody do a apples to apples comparison, but everything had to be apples and oranges to create that category. It was part of creating campaigns that would draw people in that no one else would be able to duplicate, which created the category of one. Mark made some really good points there, and then he froze up on us. There he is. He's back.
He is.
Yeah, but he still made great points even after he was frozen.
Yeah, I mean, I was discombobulated because he's holding that book up there, and he had a smile on his face, pointing at the book. So it was tremendous advertising there, Mark.
Hey, as long as you can hear me.
As Mr. Freeze. The guy that
want to be known as that.
You can get tremendous value from what he says, even when he's frozen.
Exactly.
Thank you, Chuck. One of the things that happens sometimes is, I think in positioning, it happens after the fact because, I get people are searching for something. So like, for instance, high ticket has been the freaking buzzword for the past few years and stuff like that. And likability of the person sharing that information is very important. So it's like, I heard high ticket from one guy, and I'm not going to mention his name, didn't like him. didn't, even though he was topping, he's well known in there for affluent marketing, high ticket marketing, all that stuff. But I got an email or I got a Facebook ad about someone doing high ticket, and the way he worded it made me explore. And I am still with him today after 3 years, just kind of following him. So talk about, Steve, the point of like how someone gets positioned after the fact. So you may find them in a different way, not know that they're the best in the business or they're the number one authority, but talk about likability and how important that is in positioning.
Well, it's kind of Mark just gave a great example. He went to someone who's been in business for years. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but that's how clients come to me. And you just ask them, what makes you different? And so by working with them and pulling it out of them, they start out by going, I don't know, I'm just a CPA, I'm just a plumber. You know, I asked the heating and air guy, well, but why did people call you instead of all the other heating and air guys? I don't know. I guess I'm the closest one. Like, all right, so we have some work to do here. We're going to pull something out so that now they become that person. And often that comes from focusing and narrowing down so that you become the financial planner for orthodontists. Well, how many financial planners are for orthodontists? First of all, if you go to financial planners, they're going to say, we can all do. We can all do financial planning for orthodontists. There's no difference. But to the orthodontist, there's a difference, because someone told me a long time ago when the search engines come out that people search specifically. And Dan always talks about how the specialist gets paid more than the generalist in the medical world. We all know if you go to a general doctor and they go, oh, there's something going on with your heart, I got to refer you to the heart specialist, which means you're going to pay more money and you're going to feel better about going to them. So you want to position yourself as that person. So you're something for somebody specifically, so that that specific person sees you as, man, you are the one for me. And it just means pulling something out of you, either from your past or just who you like to work with, or there's many different ways to do it, but I highly recommend get with somebody who can help you to pull something unique out of who you are and what you deliver, so that now you become something very specific to some very specific person. So again, you're the obvious choice. They want to work with you.
That's good. That's good.
I got this follow up on what Mark said when he froze up. He made a great point about naming the process. He named the process for the client, and naming your process also is a way to make you the category of one, because she's the only one that has that process, right? So that was a great point, Mark.
Yep, the category of one. That's the key right there.
So we kind of talk about, a book is a great way to establish authority and positioning in a marketplace, having your own method. How do we let people know that we even exist? What are some of the marketing methods to establish ourselves in a marketplace? One that comes to mind is being omnipresent, being everywhere possible that our ideal prospect can find us. Mark, do you have any other suggestions on that?
Yeah. I always start real grassroots. I mean, isn't it interesting that Chuck brought up like a magazine, and we're all using these like caveman methods of these are all caveman methods, right? Like everybody today is like so eager to get on technology, and you need a QR code, and you need this, and you need that. It's like, dude, I've got a magazine, and people grab these off the table and they pass them around, and they look cool. People like to touch them because they're glossy. like to me, getting the word out and advertising, really starting at a grassroots level. Where are your ideal prospects? And of course, you're going to hear the big mistake you hear from all the clients is, oh, I sell to everybody. Well, that's going to be tough, right?
Right.
Let's what I call it puddle jump. Let's puddle jump, okay? So we can really splash that water out of the entire puddle, but we're not limited to one puddle. So I always start with like, where's the low-hanging fruit? If you wanted to divide it on a piece of paper, where's your your immediate market, where's your midterm, and where's your long-term, where you'd like to be? And let's figure out where we can go. For us, it's been events where our ideal clients are. Let's do live events. And then how do we scale that up? Maybe I can have other people in other states doing live events. However way you want to scale, but perhaps do media at a time. And rather than spreading yourself thin, I always recommend pick a media to start with and master that media and dominate it before adding something else to the mix. Otherwise, you got too many plates spinning in the air and they're probably not all working very well. But master a media and then add on to it from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by booksgrowbusiness.com, the place where busy professionals and business owners get their books published to educate consumers, lead their fields, and leave a legacy. For a complimentary signature book discovery session, visit booksgrowbusiness.com. That's booksgrowbusiness.com. Now, back to the show.
I have I've mentioned in previous episodes, one of my star clients, Dr. Brian Berg, and he was an orthodontist in Glendale, California. And he was a brilliant marketer. But one day, one of my son's friends, parents was over and says, "Oh yeah, Emma's got to get braces. We were referred to a Dr. Brian Berg." And my wife says, "Craig knows Dr. Berg," and so of course I vomited wonderful things to say about him, in a positive way. But, Steve, I know you're big on referral marketing as well, but how important is getting good word of mouth and referrals part of positioning, and how can you strategically do that from the entrepreneur's point of view?
Well, I think it's going to naturally occur. I mean, that sounds strange, but it's going to naturally occur when you do things right, like what we're talking about here, what Mark's talking about. When you become the obvious choice to a certain type of person, well, like attracts like, and like refers like. So if you are what did I say earlier, the financial planner to orthodontist, whatever I said, orthodontist, no other orthodontist. So they're going to say, hey, by the way, you got to talk to this guy because he is the financial planner for orthodontists because he does A, B, C, D. So naturally, when you zero in and do this correctly and position yourself right to be the obvious choice, those people know other people like them that are always asking, who should I get? Where I don't have to explain, what was it, financial planning? So I don't have to explain like, well, you see, orthodontists work this many years and then we need this working for us and we have to have this much cash flow because we have equipment we have to pay for and with this and that. I don't have to explain that to somebody. I want the financial planner for orthodontists. Boom. I mean, I had a financial planner. I remember years ago, I had to ask him a very frustrating initial meeting, which was the only meeting we had, I had to finally ask him, do you have any clients who are entrepreneurs? I mean, he just kept giving me the canned presentation of like, hey, when you retire, how much money I'm like, retire? Do I look like I have calluses on my hand? Like, I help people make money. Like, why am I ever going to retire from that? So no, I'm not looking at but one day you're going to want to not work. What? I'm not going to want to pick up the phone. I'm not going to want to get on a Zoom call. That's going to be so taxing and miserable that I don't want to have fun doing that and helping people. Well, he finally killed him, just ruined the whole thing for himself by going like, you could tell he was frustrated because I wasn't sticking to his script and his plan. He said, well, what if you get hit by a bus? I just looked at him. I said, and I think Mark just got hit by a bus. I'm like, did you really just ask me that? I mean, I just looked at my beautiful white Michelle. I looked back. I'm like, did you just ask? I go, let me tell you. Have you heard of like Stephen Hawking? Back in those days, Stephen Hawking was still alive. I'm like, unless I am completely, absolutely incapacitated mentally, I will find a way to get words over a phone or onto a screen, and I will help business owners make money forever, period. Stop asking that. Do you have any entrepreneurs for clients who are not looking to retire? I'm just looking to manage my money to my lifestyle. So I would have loved if somebody said, I'm the financial advisor to marketing consultants. Oh man, not only would I be with that guy, I would tell Chuck, I would tell Mark, I tell Fred, I tell hundreds of people, here's a guy that knows who we are and what we need and what we want. You got to get with this guy. That's proper positioning.
And that's another shortcut because we're not looking for the people that are right for us because he already says it right in his title, who he's for. Shortcut.
Right. Yeah, amen to that. Chuck, are you familiar with Matt Zagula's script about what he says after he's done with the client, working with the client? The referral
I don't remember Obviously, I've read the book he co-authored with Dan, but I don't remember the closing line.
Yeah, I think this is powerful because it's number one, it's a process. It's something part of his system of working with clients that he does, and it does position him because no one else does it like that. And that is after working with an ideal client, he'll say, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but we don't advertise to get clients. We get clients just like you were referred to me from one of our previous clients. And I don't know if you know this, but if I could get a client like you every time, I would hit the repeat button and get a client just like you. You are so easy to work with, and I enjoyed working with you. Hey, if the conversation should ever come up, at the golf course and you isolate exactly where you know that they would be, the conversation should ever come up about dealing with your financial future or whatever, would you do me a favor? Would you give them, say, hey, Matt's our guy. Matt's the guy we trust with our financial future, and give him a copy of the book. Would you do that for me? So the point, even if I got it wrong, was the point was having a script that number one would make you stand out because barely anybody has a script or they really repeat systematically a script to generate referrals or word of mouth or whatever. But the point being, it's a system in place that positions him as it reveres them as being a special client, number one, which will keep you top of mind. And number two, it's a unique system that no one else is doing and isolates them to like, hey, next time you're at the golf course, next time you're at school, next time you're at the Tournament of Roses, next time you're at wherever, I want you to be looking and listening for someone talking about that issue. And would you tell them I'm the one who helped you do that? So I think that's powerful. I think that's positioning in a powerful way. So, hey, listen,
Craig, I want to close the loop real quick. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to close the loop because related to all of this, whether you're getting your message out there or whether it's for referrals, what everybody needs to have is a mechanism. They need an offer. And Craig, you made me think of it because you said, hey, will you tell them about my book or give them a copy of my book? That's why books are such a great tool, by the way, because that could be the front door. What's your front door? What's the offer that people can talk about and say, hey, did you get his book? Did you get his book? That's one way to do it. See, it's not just I want to refer you to this person and here's his website. Go get lost and get confused about what you should do.
Right.
No, what's the offer? Hey, make sure they get a copy of my book. Here's a link where you can get a copy for free. What's the offer? And I always tell my clients, you have to have that family of offers. What is that lead generation offer for your business? What's that front door? And then maybe you have that first tripwire offer. What is it? The first low ticket sale relationship starter product before that you could step up to your core offers. So I just wanted to connect the dot on that and close that loop.
Yeah. And you close the loop, but it opens up an important concept. And how important is it pre-framing a client before they ever do business with you? Steve,
yes,
do you have?
You opened up another one, pet peeve of mine. Ryan Dice, a great Dan Kennedy student, came up with that term, the tripwire. And Chuck, being a Marine, understands that military reference. Unless I'm wrong, a tripwire is something that if people walk over it, they blow up to smithereens and die. I'm not so sure that that's the first thing I want to offer a new prospect. So not thrilled with the positioning of it's a tripwire. I'm going to blow up my prospects and destroy them to smithereens, and then I'm going to sell them something else. So Ryan could have come up with better positioning and picked a better name for it.
I don't know if he came up with it or Perry. I think Perry.
Yeah, I'm sure it was Perry. Perry comes up with everything, and then Ryan implements everything. Both great Dan Kennedy students, who I would recommend if there was just a financial advisor to marketing consultants, I would recommend them to Perry and Ryan.
Yeah. Chuck, are you familiar with Dan Kennedy's process of sending out a package ahead of time? Someone call it maybe a shock and awe package, but he will send them a package of his books. He wants them to get familiar with his writing, his philosophy, the rules of how he does business. Can you talk about that process?
Well, I think the shock and awe package is a extremely valuable thing. It has to be used in moderation because you can't send one to 5,000 people in a local market unless you got a lot of money. But we had, again, another mastermind member who's got a real estate company. And before they would go on the appointment to talk about whether they were going to be the buyer's agent, they would deliver a fancy lime green shock and awe box that said "Gold Sold Really" on it, but in that would be their book. It would be testimonials or reviews from all their happy clients, and page after page of that had a key, but a big fake key, like the key to the house and all of that. So generally in the real estate field, the first person that goes on the listing appointment generally gets it, or the last, but the people in the middle don't get it. But they could be 5 agents interviewed, they could be number 3, but they were always the most memorable because before their appointment, they had this fantastic shock and awe box, and they were familiar with Gold Sold Realty. So it was a slam dunk when they went on the appointment.
Yeah.
And Craig, you mentioned Matt Zagula. Matt Zagula also, which a lot of people do, has the shock and awe box not only before he meets with a client, but he has once they become a client in order to generate referrals, right? And Matt, Dan Kennedy showed it once at one of his events. People were there. You can't forget it. Matt Zagula was a financial advisor to 7-figure and up net worth people, so he could afford to give back some of the huge fees he was getting in the form of this, hey, welcome to the community shock and awe box with monogrammed his and hers, luxurious towels and monogrammed champagne glasses with a bottle of high-end champagne included and this and that and all kinds of great stuff. Well, that would get people to refer. That again positioned him as he understands us affluent, wealthy people. We like stuff like this. Let me talk to my other wealthy, affluent people at the country club or down the block or wherever they are, because I want them to get all this stuff too, and I want them to get this treatment. So you can do the shock and awe box before you get a prospect, and then you can do another one once you get a client to generate referrals.
Yeah. We have to wrap up. This is a great episode, and there's so much more that we could talk about. What I want to say is don't do any of this haphazardly. If you heard anybody on here watching the show, please reach out to them. Mark is an expert at books and being an authority through books, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, authority books, magazines, positioning, and multiple media.
Yeah. So, and Steve creating the WOW strategy and creating methods and just everybody here is an expert on doing this. So please, if you heard someone on here that made sense to you, please reach out to them to help you position yourself in the marketplace. We have to wrap up, unfortunately. So we meet every Thursday on YouTube and all your favorite podcast listening stations. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank my expert panel. We have a free gift for anybody listening to the show or watching the show at Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. Go check it out. And if you are on YouTube, follow us at Most Incredible Marketing Show. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.